Well, good evening, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. Welcome into On the Hunt tonight, where, boy, we've got a treat tonight. Y'all are in store for a great show. I've got a wonderful buddy of mine. We got Mr. Tim Dills here in the studio, who is like my brethren. He's my brother from another mother over there up in Western North Carolina with North Carolina Investigates. I think y'all have met a few of the guys from the North Carolina Investigates team, and y'all are gonna love Tim tonight. We're going to get into some of his research tonight, and some of his encounters. And he and I have both been to the LBL recently, and he had some really interesting encounters out there that we're going to dive into tonight as well. We were just talking before the show and swapping some stories, and so. Yeah, y'all buckle up. This is going to be a fun show tonight. And Tim and I will both be at the Georgia Bigfoot Conference coming up this weekend, or actually next weekend. I don't know what day it is, y'all. It's next weekend, a week from today, up in Tiger, Georgia. And that's going to be a fun event. So y'all please plan to come see us up there along with Tim's entire team and some other researchers as well. Okay. And hope you guys have had a wonderful week. Hope you had a great week. We've had a full week of wonderful shows here on the channel. If you guys miss any of those, y'all please go back and check them out. And it's we're just trucking over here. I see my friend David Pardue. Thank you, David, for being here. He's also from North Carolina as well. Y'all know David. He comes on the shows. And so thank you for being here. That's one of my research buddies I go out in the field with. And I'm sure there's a few others of y'all. I have not kept up with the chat yet. So I'll come to catch up in just a second. But I did see David. Thank you for being here. And So if you guys would like to come and join us next weekend, here's a flyer. Which one do y'all like better? Be honest. Y'all like the brown one? Or do you like the thermal vision? And let's see if I've got that one on here. Here it is. If I can get it to pull up. Which one do y'all like? Put it in the comments so I can see over here. Put it in the chat. Do you like the thermal vision or do you like the brown version of this? And I want to thank Gerald of Midwest Night Watchers for actually making me that Georgia map with the Bigfoot on it in the background. And I put that little flyer together. And I kind of like the thermal vision, the pink and the blue, but that's just, I'm partial, y'all. But anyways, we've got myself, we've got North Carolina Investigates, we got Matthew Delph, Erie Travels, and that's Mark Muncy, and the Center for Wilderness Cryptid Studies come into that. Dr. John Stamey will be there. And of course, we've got some other people. I've actually had a few other people inquire about speaking at that. So we may include a whole bunch more people before we get to the event next week. And if so, I will add them to that flyer. And we're going to have a good old time up there in Tiger, Georgia. It's just south of Clayton, where we usually have this event. And I'm not saying we're going Bigfooting at all. Okay, y'all don't expect to go Bigfooting with me if everybody just shows up and wants to go Bigfooting. But I might go Bigfooting at some point. Okay. And also Saturday night, I do plan to have a show Saturday Night Live. We will have Barton Nunley here from the LBL and probably Tish, his wife, as well. Probably be on our show next Saturday night. Stay tuned for that. Okay. Unless something comes up. But we are planning to have Barton here next weekend. So y'all come and meet us. And you'll hear about all my Bigfooting adventures potentially over there in Tiger, Georgia. next week. Okay. Also, if you guys would like to check me out, go check me out over on my website. That's thecryptidhuntress.com. And you can find my shows over there, my calendar of events. I have one lonely little event, and that's next weekend on my calendar right now, which is very unusual. I usually have a bunch of events, but I do have a lot of research coming up and stuff. So I don't know. I'm not taking events at the moment. So, but anyways, y'all go over and check out my Patreon if you'd like to support the channel and support my work. Thank you to all my members. And also I do have a shop over on Etsy as well. Okay. It's called War Woman Goods. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Thank you to my moderators for being here tonight. And thank you for my channel members. I love y'all. Okay. Let's get to our show tonight. Let's do it. And, like I said, buckle up. We got a fun show tonight. All right. So tonight, we're going on the hunt with Tim Dills. Tim Dills is an outdoorsman and a seasoned cryptid field researcher from Macon County in western North Carolina. He's had multiple encounters with Bigfoot and other cryptids since 2008. He's investigated animal mutilations, heard Bigfoot speaking in their little crazy language, and also he's even watched a Bigfoot track a deer. We're going to ask him about all that tonight. And so much more. He's a member of North Carolina Investigates. They are a boots on the ground cryptid field research team out of Western North Carolina and Tennessee. Y'all know. Let me think. Who else on that team? We got Harley Owens is on there. George Lunsford, Robert Effler, Tim Dills. Who else? Who am I missing? I don't know. I can't remember. Tim, the redheaded stepchild, is going to tell us. Please help me welcome to the show tonight my buddy, Mr. Tim Dills.
Hey, Miss Jessica.
Hey, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. It is honestly a pleasure.
Who did I leave out of your team? We got Rob, we got George, you.
We've got Harley.
Oh, Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry Millwood and
Jerry.
Brian Boom Boom Sawyer from Michigan.
That's right, Brian.
And we've got our newest one is one that goes out with me a lot. And she has got the name Cookie Monster now because when we done the thing over at Western Carolina University, we went to eat and it was a buffet. So she got her a handful of cookies and stuffed in her coat pocket.
Oh my God.
So
stop it.
So her name is actually Rachel Jones. So Miss Rachel goes out with me a lot, and she's the one that's actually helping teach me a lot of paranormal stuff. So, and a lot of history about where we live at.
That's wonderful. She is so nice. And yes, I know she putting up with y'all. She's got to be pretty cool and have patience.
or a few screws loose one.
Oh man, or a few screws loose. That's right. Well, we all do. We all got to be a little crazy to do what we do. Right.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, anybody that go out looking for something that's twice as tall as they are and 5 times as heavy, you ain't all there. So
that's right. That's right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's an adrenaline rush. I don't know why I love it so much. I just love the mystery of it and to getting out in the woods. And I think it's the people too. Mm-hmm. It's the friendships that we make out there. And there's something to say about, basically it's very dangerous too. And so it's like your lives are kind of like you're depending upon your teammates out there to protect you and you protect them. And, if stuff goes down, all you got is your teammates and yourself, so there's a bond that's made, a bond that can't be broken. Right.
Yeah. And that's the reason I like and I'll mention this right quick. I am in another group too, that I do go out with, and that's Sasquatch Recon. That used to be Dirty South Squatching, but they changed the name. They live in eastern North Carolina, and I don't get to go out with them as much. But you're exactly right. Any of the guys and gals that I go out with, I'd trust them wholeheartedly.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, me too. And there's David Pardue. You've met David before. He's been to some of these events and stuff. So he's not going to make this one. Dang it, David. I'm going to miss you. We're all going to miss you. And his research area is Uwharrie. Now that's not super close to where y'all are. It's hours away from where y'all live.
Yeah.
But that's a good spot. That's a good spot. David, we went up there and met David a couple months ago, I guess. And we had some serious Bigfoot activity. Bigfoot activity up there. What's up with North Carolina? Why is there so much activity, so many Bigfoots up there, you think?
I think one thing is we've got good hiding places. I mean, here in the mountains, I can take you up on mountaintops and you won't see no houses or nobody for miles and upon miles. I mean, we got the Great Smoky Mountain National Park and all of that stuff. And Uwharrie, that's actually the stomping grounds of my other team, Sasquatch Recon. That's one of their favorite places. And I've hunted it with my cousin that lives down in Greensboro, and we just got the country for it. With even down there, you've got not mountains, but you've got some pretty high places that they can go and hide and all of that stuff. It's to me, it's the perfect habitat.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, lots of good hiding places. I know when we were at Uwharrie, we took some hikes that were just up and down these mountains, and it's places where the normal people it's kind of, if you're not really, you don't have your whole heart into like looking for Bigfoot, you ain't gonna go to the places where we go, okay? Because it's so far out there and it's big old hikes. And I see Ed Peters is up in here too. What's up, Ed? And I was up there in Uwharrie with Ed too. So thank you for being here. But yeah, you gotta go to places that are off the beaten path if you want to go get some good activity. Well, sometimes, I don't know, in your case, you've had a lot of encounters, it seems like, with Bigfoot and potentially other cryptids like Dogman, perhaps.
Yeah.
And some of them have been in backyards. Right?
Yeah. Actually, the land that I got started on with my buddy, he's passed on now, but his property was not very far from one of the government job corps here in Macon County, which there's only one, but it was not far from there. I mean, I could hit it with a golf ball if I had my driver. It was that close. Yeah. And so I went that train. It took a dirt road. Sorry about that. I ain't got all time.
Story of my life. It's the story of my life. Well, we're talking about it's the back, you having the encounters in people's backyards and your backyard and stuff.
Yeah. My buddy Bob Trent was telling me that he lives in Mount Holly and was working just a few miles outside of Charlotte. And the guys he worked with was making fun of him. Oh, you go out and chase these things, blah, blah, blah. Well, they're out putting in he does HVAC work. And they was out taking a break and just standing, all these deer come running through. And here come a Bigfoot chasing them. So Bob takes off after the Bigfoot, trying to get pictures and all of that stuff. And the guys that's working with him, their eyes is about that big around, because here he goes chasing after it. And like I say, this was just a few miles outside of Charlotte. And he comes back, and the one boy said, "You white boys is crazy. You ain't never going to see me out there running after something like that." But Bob is about as tall as I am, about 6'2", and he come up to its waist. So that one was probably pushing close to 10 feet tall. Wow. And that's just a few miles outside of Charlotte.
Ooh, man, that's a big one. You know what? That just reminded me of something. There's been a rash of Bigfoot sightings out of Ohio, like Northeast Ohio this past week. And I know that I'm kind of torn on all this, right? Because I want our Bigfoot brethren to be protected. And when it makes mainstream news, like it's making the mainstream news right now, people get a little squirrely. They want to go out and hunt them down and do stuff. And I hate that. And there's a couple of, I think there's at least one or two like podcasters and stuff that have really been tracking these, and also the Bigfoot mapping project as well. This is from, I think, Bigfoot Society, if I'm not mistaken. But there's been several. There were, I forgot how many there were. Okay, in the past, look, it says 120 hours. What was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't remember how many. There's just been a bunch. Okay, and there's probably been more by now. And one of them was 10 feet tall. They said they range anywhere from 6 feet to 10 feet, and there were different colors, black and brown, and I found that kind of interesting. And I'm wondering, why is there an uptick in sightings right there right now? Could it be like migration or something, or what?
One thing that I think happens this time of year is when a lot of the juveniles get pushed out and they have to go on and start their own location. They're getting old enough to be on their own and all of that stuff, just like a teenager leaving home. It gets to a point to where they have to go out and find their own place. And we know how teenagers are. Sometimes they get a little careless and they get seen and all of that stuff. But I think because it usually seems like this time of year when the females are going to be giving birth, that's when a lot of these sightings occur. It spikes for a few months and then it sort of tapers off. And I think it's just them moving around trying to find their own part of the woods to call their own.
Oh man, I know. It's like they're being kicked out of the house. It's time to go to college, kids. Go find your own way.
Yeah.
That's wow. That's actually an interesting way to look at it, and I could agree with that. I've been noticing that I'm a lake girl. Okay, I grew up on a farm and on a lake, and I've pretty much always lived by a body of water my whole life. And I notice it's always the geese and the ducks having their babies every spring and stuff. And I just noticed that, and that it's got to be the same for the Bigfoots too. It's probably every spring they're having babies.
Yeah.
So.
And that's we actually find more of the smaller tracks. 4 to 6 inches in the springtime. Anytime from now up through April, May, June, around in there, and find the nest. That's how we actually got Bluff charged one time. Was the female had a small one in the nest, and we didn't know it until she had pitched the fit on us and left, and we went walking around and found the little tracks. They was probably 5 inches long, but there was a nest there. And from where she started at, we could see a line of sight from the ridge she was on down to where the nest was. And when we started in between them, then she pitched her fit on us and come and got the little one and moved on. But this time of year and from here on definitely seems to be the birthing time.
Ooh, Tim, do you think that it was the mama that Bluff charged y'all or another Bigfoot that Bluff charged you?
I think it was the mama, because the way she come off the ridge, she stayed just out of sight and come down and was making these sounds. And if you look up a silverback gorilla, it was almost the same thing, just but it was so loud your whole body's vibrating. And that's the only time I've actually ever put my hand on my firearm, because, we didn't know what was going on. But where she went down into, and then she got between us and our vehicles. And we could follow the tracks where she come off and where she went down in there, and we found the nest and the little tracks and where she went on. Unfortunately, it was in a pine thicket to where that you ain't no way you're going to get a cast or nothing out of that. So, but I honestly believe she was up there hunting, and she had the little one down there where she could watch it, where it was out of the way.
Oh man, she was, yeah, that's not a good feeling. I've had that before where I was actually up at one of our research areas with my buddy Robbie Rains, y'all. Robbie's over there I think it's called Nightmare Hunter podcast now with D.A. Roberts and all them. But Robbie was up in North Georgia with me. And we went to a spot first year that he came up and met me up there when I was speaking at the Georgia Bigfoot conference, which we're going to be at next weekend. But yeah, we got up there and it was wild because we ended up getting surrounded. Like we were talking and, the crickets were chirping real loud, which was very unusual for that area. And so they kept getting progressively louder, and Robbie and I were talking. I mean, we were standing really close to each other. Like we weren't that far, but we were having to yell over the crickets and the frogs and whatever was chirping. And so it was just at some point we're just small talking and catching up. And in where all the Bigfoots are, I took him where all the Bigfoots are. And all of a sudden it went mute, silent, and we're still screaming. And so it was like one of those incidents where we're like, oh crap. And we just sat there and we looked at each other and we're like, oh yeah, something's here. And as we're sitting there looking at each other, and we're both, he's looking behind me, I'm looking behind him. And we could see and feel like we were getting surrounded from all perimeters all around us. And there was something down by my truck, and we had walked up a hill, and there was something, it wasn't in between us and the truck, but it was just behind my truck. And so we made the executive decision to truck it down to my truck and get at, not necessarily leave, but we needed to make we needed to close in that distance between us and that truck because we were surrounded and there was something by the vehicle. Now that's a bad feeling, Tim. Getting cut off by your vehicle, your only way out of there. And so I can understand like that could have felt real bad.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned that. After we did the festival in Westminster, South Carolina last year, I took Brian and his girlfriend and Robert up to where we got bluff charged. The other guys didn't get to go. They had to leave. And but we got up there, and you know how it is when you take somebody, you're just hoping and praying something will happen to where they don't think you're an idiot. So we get up there, and to be honest, I've never had anything happen at night. Everything that I've had is of a day.
No way.
All my sightings and everything has been of a day. And so we get up there, and Rob's talking to his wife because he's got on his property one he calls Junior. And Junior had been carrying rocks in while Rob was gone and piling them up inside the barn. So he's talking to her, and the night before, Junior was outside making sounds like a hoot owl. And so he's talking to her about that, trying to calm her down and everything. So I give him a light and said, we're just going around the road. You can follow it. You'll see us because the leaving stuff's down. You'll see the lights. So we step out, me and Brian and his girlfriend, Laura, and one yells back to our left behind us on the ridge, the same ridge that the one was on that done the bluff charge. And we're standing there, and I was like, thank you, Lord. At least we've heard something anyway. And we stand there a minute, and it does it again. And so we go on, and we find this tree across the road that's been pushed over. You can see where they had carried it about 10 feet from where it had actually been, and laid it across the road and wove stuff in it. And we're just going along talking. The one thing that hit our brain was we didn't have no kind of protection with us because we'd left all that at the house because of being at the festival all day. But we go out and we get to looking, and Brian shows something up. And at the time, we thought it was too high to be something in a tree. So we thought, well, that may be house lights a couple of miles off or something. And we start back out, and Robert comes around the road. We'd been gone for about 20, 30 minutes. And I hollered, Rob said, come on around. We'll meet you in the road out here. And he said, I don't think so. We ain't got nothing for him. And we was like, Rob, he's always cutting up. We're like, what in the world is he talking about? and we get back out to the off the little old skid road we was on out into the main road. And Rob's there then, and we told him, said, we're going to walk on around the road here a little bit and see if we can see anything. He said, I don't think so. We ain't got nothing for him. We was like, I ain't got nothing for what? Well, right where the vehicle's parked, there's a ridge that goes up right there. And where it starts going downhill, Rob was coming around through there, and he hears something, and he turns around and sees blue eye shine.
Blue?
Blue, and he hit it with his flashlight, and he said it looked to him like about a 6 foot tall Dogman that took tearing off down through the woods. And they're all freaking out, and I'm like, yes, we finally, something happened after dark. We finally getting some action. And they're like, we better get out of here. And the where he saw I forgot to tell this part, after we saw the tree that was across the road, we heard one yell over on our right-hand side. So we turned back around, and now the one that was on our left is on our right, and it's coming to us because you can hear it coming through the woods. There's the one that ran where the dog man was. It's there. I look out the road, and I've never seen the eye shine. And I look out, and I see two orange glowing eyes about that big, and I'm like, I see eye shine, I see eye shine. And I'm excited because, you know, I ain't got to witness none of this stuff. And we're standing there talking about it, and I take my headlamp, and every time I'd put my headlamp on it, it would turn its head. And then when I take my headlamp down, it'd turn back around, and I could see its eyes glowing. And then I got to thinking, we ain't got no protection, and this between us and the truck. It's right above the truck. So we get standing there and start easing back, and behind the truck, like you was talking about, one starts trying to sound like a hoot owl up on the ridge. And I get to messing with it, to hollering back, and it's coming closer to us. And like I said, I'm having a ball. I honestly wasn't afraid, but I was having a good time and enjoying it. And I told them on my truck, I've got it fixed up with roll bars and big lights and all that stuff. I said, Jens, just ease back. I'm going to go to the truck and turn all the lights on, because it should light the one on that's on the ridge above the truck. It should light it up. So I get back there and I forget about them out the road, because I'm aggravating the one that's coming down the ridge to the truck. And once I've hunted in there for years, and I knew exactly where it was at. And when it got to the spot to where that it could see all of us, it shut up just like that. And then I remembered, oh yeah, I got the other guys with me. So they come on, and we pull off and go down the road about a half a mile, and we stop and we roll the windows down, and where we left, you could hear them barking like a dog. Barking. And it would there was two of them. One of them was a high pitched, and the other one was a low pitched. And they done the same repetitious bark every single time. And the deep one, it would bark twice. It'd go, oof, oof. And then on the third one, it'd go, oof, like that. So we could tell where it was coming from. And, but anyway, we left there. Me and George went back, and we've got some cameras and stuff down there now, but we went back, and the eyes that I thought was a house real far away would have actually been up in a big pine tree.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's something that's interesting. It's interesting you say that, because when I was up in Uwharrie with David and Ed, who are in the chat right now, and my friend Keith and Don, we were surrounded by Bigfoots while we were out there, and they had that eye glow. It wasn't like reflective eye shine. It was like self-illuminating eye glow. Yeah. And it was, you kind of have to sit there and ponder a little bit. Like, am I looking at a house in the distance? Is that a street light or what? But they were moving, and you could clearly see it. We have some great pictures from that night of the self-illuminated eye glow, and it was white and orange and green. It was all different colors, which was weird. And the blue, like you had mentioned, the blue. I had somebody on the show, I think it was Greg House with Woodwalkers, came on, and I've been out to the Bankhead Forest in Alabama before, and we were talking about that. He lives out that way, and he was talking about a report that he had taken of 2 dogmen with blue eye shine, just like what you said.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. I mean, I know that the Bigfoots were there, and I had heard, I don't know how many times, about their eyes illuminating on their own. And in my brain, I'm, rational. Okay, yeah, all right. This is one of them. I'll believe it when I see it. And when I saw it, it tickled me to death, because I was like, I know what people's talking about now.
I know it's kind of weird, right? Because like, what on earth would make their eyes self-illuminate like that? It doesn't really make sense. It's like otherworldly.
The only thing that I can think of, and this is just my feeble mind, but I think of the fish in the ocean that have bioluminescent that can do that. And if these creatures are mostly nocturnal, or was they created that way to where that it helps them after dark? I don't know. I ain't got an.
I know. They're a bunch of aliens. I don't know. That's kind of what we think at this point. We don't know. I don't think anybody knows. We don't know.
No.
Yeah. Well, I wanted actually, okay, there's a couple of comments in the chat I want to address, but I want us to take a quick commercial break and thank Kent Baxter for that super sticker. Thank you, Kent. It is an awesome time to be alive, Kent. You're so sweet. And Elise Tanner, thank you so much for that super sticker as well. I appreciate your support. Y'all are so sweet. Okay. And I think Adolf in the chat was saying that I just saw a comment and he said something. Maybe it was let me see if I can find it. I got to scroll. It may take a second, y'all. Oh, there it is. Adolf said, it maybe by having eye shine in different colors, responses to the type of bulb on the flashlight. Just a thought. Well, see, we didn't have any lights on. Okay. This is what we're seeing with our naked, we call it naked eye. With my bucky naked eyes. Okay. There's no, it wasn't seen through any device, and we did have pictures of him. We did have pictures, but this is what we were seeing. We were seeing the different colors out there with the eye glow. We call it eye glow, actually. But weird, right? Like what is it?
And that's when I would turn my headlamp. I've got a headlamp that's pretty bright. And when I would put it and shine it's in its eyes, because they're already glowing orange, that's how I seen it. And I knew where it was at, because on the back side of that, it's straight off, straight down into the woods and down into the bottom. But that's what caught me was I seen something orange out there that shouldn't have been orange. And when we were standing there with my headlamp, you could make a little bit of the outline, not a whole lot. But every time I would shine it in its eyes, it would turn its head. It would either turn its head or close its eyes. And then once I took the light off of it, then it would turn back and look at us again. And it done that for probably 5 minutes. And the guys are, come on, we got to go. We got to go. We got to go. No, I'm playing.
I know, right? Why you gotta go? That's why we came here. I mean, in my case, when I'm out in the woods, I want to get the full experience. Okay. And that's why I volunteer to be Bigfoot bait. I don't care. I will do it. Actually, okay, so I was at the LBL recently, and I was kind of joking. I mean, I'm not joking when I say this. Like, I do have plans to go back there soon, and I want to go where like the really crazy, scary stuff happens. I was joking around with my buddy today, actually, and we're talking about going back up there soon, actually. And he was like, well, where did you want to camp out? I was like, I want to camp out where it is just like really scary, like the scariest spot in the LBL. And then I was like, I think every spot in the LBL is scary. But I don't mind that. If I'm going to go somewhere to do cryptid field research, I want to go where their cryptids want to be. I want to go to the scary places.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
I mean, if you're not, what are you going for?
I know. Why are you going? Like, what's the point? What's the point of me driving 5 hours to get there if I'm not going to go get scared?
Yeah. Right? And that's, it's one of them things you can't understand. If you're not wanting to have encounters and learn more about these things, then what are you even going for? I mean, I could sit at the house and have my opinion at the house, but ever since I saw my first one, I just want to know more, because something is there that, you're told all your life didn't exist, but then it steps out in front of you 15, 20 feet from you, and you're having to look it dead in the face, and you realize that, well, everything you thought you knew just went out the window.
Exactly. And I wanted to, something that I ask all my guests from the South. It's mostly just from the South, because we all have our own language down here. Mm-hmm. And Nathan knows that. And so, Nathan, thank you for that super sticker. Get you some Vieners. You know what Vieners are, right, Tim?
Yeah, Viennese sausages. Yep. You got to have that and a pack of Lance crackers, and you can.
Oh my God. You
can survive anything. Apocalypse will come. You, as long as you got Vienes and some crackers, you're good.
Vienes. Mm-hmm. I always ask all my guests. Oh my God, this is so funny. I say Vienas, and so everybody's got their own way of saying it. We say Vienas over here on my side of town.
Yeah,
but Vienes.
Vienes. Yeah, it just depends on which side of the holler you're from.
It depends. Thank you, Nathan, for that. And so, I'm going to have to get some stickers and T-shirts made of Vieners. Okay. We are doing that. The Cryptid Huntress. You know what? Maybe I should get a spot. I joke around about all the sponsors I'm going to get one day. I have no idea why I need sponsors, but Dollar General, where they have Dollar General portals. Ask Harley about that, Tim. And we're going to go Dollar General and Vienna sausages. Okay. I will be the face of Vienna sausage one day.
I think that and
just kidding.
Rob Effler of the group, I've got him hooked on the jalapeno and cheddar summer sausages from Buc-ee's. So you get the Viennas and we'll get the summer sausage, and we'll trade recipes.
Oh my God. You know what? We know how to eat, though, and yes, Ariel, don't forget the chicken fingers too. I am known for chicken fingers and tater logs and Viennas. Okay. Yep. That's how I grew up. But yes, thank you, Nathan, for bringing that up tonight. I was going to ask Tim how he's pronounced Viennas. Anyways, y'all don't worry. Y'all know I got you covered. But anyways, that is a good thing to take when you're camping. You know what I mean? Really Beanie weenies and Viennas.
Oh, this time of year when the ramps start coming up and you can walk in the woods with beanie weenies and Viennas and bologna and loaf of light bread, and you can sit down and stay for a year and not have to move.
That's right. That's all you got to do, y'all. Pro tips: if y'all want to survive, go get you some Viennas. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Tim, I'm sorry. I know that's not where you thought this interview was going tonight.
No, that's fine. Trust me, I'm used to this. We got a PG-13 rating. We're going along pretty good for 13 minutes, and then after that, it's a train wreck. So I'm used to it every week.
Train wreck. I've been on y'all's show with y'all before. It's fun. It's actually a lot of fun. And man, Tyler, you're talking about the LBL. Okay, let's skip back over to the LBL real quick, because we're talking about Dogman. And okay, so Tyler said the Dogman started attacking as soon as the family started setting up camp. I believe the Dogman went after the father first. All right, so this is where I've actually been in contact with Roger LBL. Now Roger claims that he was there when that attack happened, and I don't know. That's very controversial, because that's not how the original story went. But now Roger's come out and said that he was there, and I cannot wait. I believe we're going to bring him on the show. Okay. I hope I will. If he'll come on the show, we're going to come on. Like I said, we're in contact with him. But nonetheless, there's a story out of the LBL, and you and I have both been there recently within the past year. You and I were both, I've gone to the spot where allegedly this happened, where this family was attacked. And I don't know, what did you think about the LBL? And what do you think about that story, Tim, with the Dogman attacking?
Believe it or not, I think we got a great cast of a Dogman track where we was camping. It's over 5 inches wide. And that's big for a canine track.
Yeah.
It ain't none of the bar dogs around here got a foot that big. But we was there, and we found tore up clothes. We found bones where they'd been eating deer and catfish and all of that stuff. And this is part of that paranormal stuff that I'm just getting into. I don't know that much about, but we was walking, and it's the same place I was telling you about that I saw the blob the night before on my thermal. And we're walking out through there, and I think it was Rob first. He said, I hear somebody talking. Well, we all hushed and tried to, we couldn't see or hear anybody. We keep walking. Jerry says, there's somebody walking and talking. He said, I can hear them. We stand still. There's nobody. And I've got hearing aids that I wear when I'm in the woods, and I can crank them suckers up. I can hear. Yeah. I can hear tomorrow if I want to. But
that's smart. I need some of them.
Yeah, they actually help. But the crazy thing is, Greg Ogles gives us a camera. Said, go film. Said, this camera will last you 3 or 4 hours. After about 45 minutes, the battery's dead. It's completely drained. So we start heading back to the truck, and George says, I hear somebody talking, and I've not heard it yet. And I'm like, okay. And I told him, I said, Yuns, go ahead, and I'll get the video of Yuns walking back up the road. So they get up about 30, 40 yards in front of me, and I start hearing it off over to my left. And it sounded just like a man and a woman talking. And I told George, I said, it's over there. And he takes off running. Of course, there ain't nothing there. But it's the same spot where that family got massacred. And I don't know, like I say, this paranormal stuff I'm new to, but all I know is what they said. They said something about it being a residual, something another that keeps going over and over and over. But I just know that what I heard. And I know nobody was there, because every time we would hear a sound and where it was coming from, we would go check it out. I mean, that's what you do. When you hear something, you don't run from it. You go find out what it is. And that's exactly what we did. And we never found anything. Nobody, no tracks of where anybody had been in there or nothing.
Man, something that I noticed was that, I was taking that spot where allegedly the family was attacked, and it is right by the water. Okay. And, now there's speculation that maybe it was at another location, and that's just kind of where people think it was and all that stuff. And there's been documentaries, and, I don't know. Some people say it never happened. Okay. I mean, I've been seeing chatter online that the Patterson-Gimlin film's fake. I don't believe that at all. I don't know who's coming up with that. That's just people trying to get views on their YouTube channel. That's what I'm going to say. Okay. Yeah. And trying to get some recognition. I've seen that happen plenty of times. I've also seen people say that the LBL thing never happened, the family getting attacked. And that does stir up controversy too. All of it's controversial. But from people that I know, very close friends of mine who live around there, they say it really happened.
Yeah. If next time you go, if you have the chance of somebody inviting Martin Groves to come in with you.
Oh yeah, Martin's coming with me next. I'm gonna go meet Martin up there for sure. Yeah. I was actually with Barton. I was with Barton Nunley and his wife, and I was with my friend Matt, aka War Criminal. Shout out to all y'all. And to all them, and I think the next time I go, Martin is planning on being there.
If I ain't mistaken, and I could be wrong, so don't hold me 1,000%. But if I ain't mistaken, I think that was about the time he was sheriff.
He was a sheriff, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he told us it was real.
Yeah,
and he told us about it, and just the encounters that he's had, and that kind of stuff. And but that place is weird, and you can feel it as soon as you drive on, get off the main road and get in there. It's honestly, you feel like well, what's behind this tree? What's behind that tree?
Cemeteries.
Yeah, over
Never seen.
400 of them.
I never seen so many cemeteries in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked. It was weird almost. Like why on earth they have so many cemeteries out there?
Mm-hmm.
It was weird. Very weird. And not only that, but even like where the family was allegedly mauled to death, there's actually gravestones. When the water levels go down in the lake, you can see gravestones poking out of the water right there. So, I mean, there's plenty of graves underwater right there too. Okay, they're all under that lake. It's just, dare I say, cursed. What do you think? You think it could be cursed?
I do, and now don't get me wrong. I'm a Christian, and I've got my beliefs, but I also know there's good and evil too, and you don't the Indians and the natives or whatever you want to call it, anybody can put a curse on something. All you got to do is just know the right words to say. And you can curse it, it's that simple. I could see why it would be, they come in there and the way they treated people and all of that stuff to run them out to make that place. It's sort of like Cage Cove, Cage Cove. We've actually seen Bigfoots in Cage Cove and over in Tennessee, and but the same thing there. There's just something about it that's not right.
Cades Cove. That is where little Dennis Martin went missing in the Great Smoky Mountains. That's what the whole documentary, The Vanish, which I was in, was one of Greg Ogle's films, recently came out. That's where he was. It's not too far from like Dollywood and all that stuff up in, was that Gatlinburg, I guess?
Yeah. Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. And all
that's
that
Tennessee. Stuff. That's like, what is that? East Tennessee. You guys are Western North Carolina. It's all right there in the Appalachians. Let me show a map because we do have a very international audience. Yeah. And so let me pull up a map to show you guys where the Appalachians are and kind of give you an idea of where we're talking about.
Also, the Great Smoky Mountain National Park is there too. It's hundreds of thousands of acres.
Okay. And I mean, it's a beautiful area, but in case you guys are wondering, it's right there in the red area where it says Great Smokies. I think I can't see, but it's right there. That's around the area where I've gone out with Harley Owens. It was just on y'all's team. Harley took us out to one of his research areas over in East Tennessee. And where there's, Bigfoot, Dogman activity out there and all that. But that's where it says Great Smokies. Yeah, Great Smokies. That's kind of the area where you're talking about. Okay, that's the Appalachians, y'all. If you're wondering.
The funny thing was, me and Dwight Campbell from Sasquatch Recon, that's my other group, we was going around through there, and he seen one down in the creek bottom go behind a blowed over tree and blow the whole root ball up. So it went behind it, and it's about 500-600 yards. Well, I get out my thermal binoculars and I zoom in on it, and you can see an elbow and a shoulder come out every once in a while, side of its head, and all of that. And the truck that I had at the time had Bigfoot stuff all over it, stickers and all that.
You gave me one of your stickers. Do you remember that when I met you at the Georgia Bigfoot Conference? I got a sticker and I put it on my truck. I changed all my stickers out, so I eventually took it off because I changed all my stickers out. I had to do a redo, but it said Dirty South Squatching on it. I love that, Dirty South Squatching. That was your group, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Then they
Thank you for that sticker.
Sasquatch Recon now, but we're sitting there watching it, and this woman pulls up and she said, "Have you ever seen anything like that around here?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am. We're watching one right now." She took off. Now, you ain't supposed to go like 5-10 miles an hour around the loop. And you'd have thought she was Dale Earnhardt going around through there. She got going. And I'm like, it's down there. It can't hurt you. You're way up. We're up here in our vehicles watching it. But as soon as she knew there was one there, son, she took off. And we got that one on the thermal. And just last year they was over there, and I'd left on a Friday night, and I'd been over there with them, and I had to leave Friday morning. And with Friday night, they go out and they get ready to leave that spot. We found, I ain't going to tell people how we do it, but we have found a way that we can stay inside a Cage Cove until way after dark, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Then we can ride out. And so we're riding out, and the next night, where we did the calling from the night before, they start to leave, and a rock comes in and hits their back window and chips their back window.
Oh, no.
And they've been there watching and everything, ain't seen, heard nothing. And what they said wasn't, they might have dropped an F-bomb or two, but it scared the far out of them. And the funny thing was, Dwight's on his electric bicycle in front of him. He ain't even in the truck with him. And they get to worrying about what's behind them, and Dwight wrecks his bicycle.
Oh my God!
It was funny from my point of view, because I didn't get scared or I didn't wreck my bicycle.
Oh my God, that sounds wild. I don't know. I think that a Dogman could outrun an electric bike. That would be, and probably too. Yeah, it's probably not safe riding on one of those out there.
Mm-mm.
I don't know. Yeah. It's also not safe being Bigfoot bait like I do. So like I am. I know.
Yeah, I guess.
Who am I to judge? I'm Bigfoot bait. So yeah. I mean, I also become a Bigfoot burrito and a Dogman burrito at night in my hammock in the middle of the woods sometimes. So who am I to judge? But, right. Don says, hey, Don says 270 cemeteries in the LBL from north to south. I'd say there's probably more than that, but you probably know better than I do. There's a lot.
Martin Groves and the Sons of the Confederacy have found over 400 of them. 420, he told us. Now, they may not be big, and they ain't all known, because a lot of them's out in the woods where people don't go.
Wow. Well, somebody had mentioned something about Martin. Martin was a sheriff, and Daryl Denton. Okay, y'all, I gotta disclose something. I talked to Daryl Denton on the phone today. Me and Daryl are buddies. Mm-hmm. And he was recounting about him and Martin. He was the mayor and Martin was the sheriff in that town. Mm-hmm. Like they've been friends for like 40 years or more. Like and Daryl's the head of he runs that Facebook page. It's called Bigfoot Believers and Other Creatures. Y'all go join it if you hadn't already. But Daryl's been my friend for a while. And so, yeah, I had no idea that they had that connection. I didn't know that until today.
Yeah. And we've had Daryl and Martin on our shows, and just the knowledge that they've got. I mean, I've learned a lot in, 2008 to 26, 18 years. I've learned a lot, but I can just sit back and soak it up, because just with them being actual, especially Martin being the sheriff, the stuff that he's had to investigate and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It's amazing just to hear his stories.
Mm-hmm. Him and Daryl. Mm-hmm. And Daryl told me today, he was like, well, me and Martin could like converse about these things when nobody else could even understand. I mean, the things that we talk about, Tim, are really out there to people who don't even believe in Bigfoot. Right. Mm-hmm. It's like people probably hear us talking and they're like, oh, those crazy people, they're delusional, but it does help to have someone, be able to understand that. And I would think that law enforcement, especially, mm-hmm. I'm friends with a lot of, several, I'm not going to say a lot, but several like sheriff's deputies and stuff. And they see some weird stuff. Mm-hmm. And even state park rangers. I've been contacted by state park rangers here in Georgia, at least one that was really upset and giddy because they'd had all these Bigfoot sightings at this park that he worked at. Mm-hmm. And they need people to talk to about that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And
Mhm.
and you know, I was one of those people until I had my first encounter. I didn't think there's nothing like that around here. I mean, you know, growing up here and I know people say I've been in the woods all my life, but Daddy actually let me start following him hunting and fishing when I was 5 years old. So I'm 58, getting ready to be 59. So 54 years of being in the woods and stuff. I thought I had a pretty good handle on things. I've actually seen what, and I know before anybody says anything, there's no such thing as black panthers. Well, that's what we call them. They're jaguars or whatever you want to call them, but we do have the black ones. I've actually seen those. I've got mountain lions on my trail camera. I've seen the red wolves have here in Macon County. And you know, up until then, I thought I had a pretty good grasp on things. But then when I had my first run in with a Bigfoot for the first year or so, just trying to figure out what it was, what was yelling, screaming, throwing rocks, and all of that stuff, you know. And then when you realize what it is, you get a picture of it, and you finally realize what it is. Your whole everything you thought you knew just goes out the window.
Mhm.
And
That's
that's
right.
the reason I don't say nothing. If somebody told me that they sat down and ate a hamburger with a Bigfoot, I ain't going to deny it. I might
100%.
think it's out there, but I've seen stuff that other people wouldn't believe. So I ain't gonna knock other people what they tell me. I wasn't there, so all I can do is take them at their word.
Exactly. I don't judge. I really don't. I say that
Mm-mm.
laughing sometimes because, like, maybe I kind of do sometimes because I like to joke around. Okay. But I really don't because you can't really, I mean, everybody has their own experience. I like to say that we all live in our own little realities, anyways. But, um,
Mhm.
but yeah, you can't, I mean, I don't know. I've seen some of the weirdest stuff that I don't even talk, I have not even talked, I don't tell the public everything I've experienced.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Some things you probably won't ever even get out of me unless you know me real good. Okay. But Bigfoot Dwarf was asking a while ago, is there been any good footage out of the LBL, like video evidence? And thank you. I am Verax says Pat, Joe, BF Bud and Angie too. They got a great thermal video of something. Now I did a remote viewing target of that a while back, y'all, and so I have a show. I had Pat and Joe on the channel, and they had a really good video of something. It did look like some people were trying to say it was like a dog woman carrying a baby.
Mhm.
I can't say it's that, but it's something. It is something. It's either a Bigfoot or maybe a Dogman in a thermal, and it is a good video. It's a great video. So shout out to Pat and Joe and BF Bud and Angie.
Mhm.
Y'all are awesome. Those are some friends of mine. Um, but that is some good evidence. There's a lot of good evidence. There's a lot of good eyewitness accounts where there's not video evidence, but there's just personal encounters that
Mhm.
come out of that place too. So
And, and that's one thing, you know, people that don't do this, they don't really know, well, why didn't you get a picture? Well, the sighting lasted a few seconds. And when one of these creatures steps out, even though you know that they're real, it
yeah,
still takes your brain a few seconds to process what's going on. I was lucky. The last one that I saw, I got to watch it for a few, probably 10, 15 seconds, about 100 yards away from me. And it's watching me deer hunt. And it was in one of my research areas. And it just stood there watching me, and I was watching it. And I couldn't get my phone to work. So I wish I'd have never done it, but I picked my gun up to look through the scope. And when I did, it stepped back behind the tree and wouldn't move. I put my gun back down because I didn't want it to think I was going to hurt it or
shoot it.
anything. And when I put my gun down, it dropped from standing upright down to all fours, and then it army crawled back across the ridge to my research area. And a million times over, I wish I'd have never put my gun up, because I think they was getting used to me and knowing that I wasn't a threat, and then I do something stupid like that. But I was just wanting to get a good look at its face. and everything to see if it was like the other ones that I'd seen. And but as soon as I didn't even just put my hand on my gun, and it stepped back behind the tree.
Oh no! Well, you know what? Well, in your defense, Tim, you can just walk towards them, and they're going to back off.
Mhm.
So if you put your hand on your weapon, or just even taking a step forward can make them disappear.
Yeah.
So don't kick yourself over that. Okay. But still, I want to say thank you real quick to Barton Nunley. What's up, Barton, for being in the chat tonight. Barton's going to be, I think Barton's going to be on the show next week, y'all. And yes, by the way, I was initiated into the Brotherhood of the Wolf, or Sisterhood too, of the Wolf last weekend. So thank you, Barton, for being here. He is a very gracious host of the LBL. He and his wife Tisha, and also Matt as well. So yeah, thank y'all for being here. I think we mentioned you tonight earlier, Barton, by the way. But anyways, yeah, it's when I was in Uwharrie recently. Oh, and by the way, Daryl too. What's up, Daryl? I saw my friend Daryl. That's my old school friend from Atlanta. Is in the chat too. We got a great crowd tonight, Tim. They all came to hang out with us.
That's good.
It's wonderful, wonderful. Oh dang, Uwharrie. Dang it, I had a senior moment again. I got sidetracked. I forgot what I was saying. So that's two. I've got one senior moment. You've got one senior moment.
That's what I call part timers. Part of the time I can remember, and part of the time I can't.
I know. Oh my gosh, well, I forgot what I was going to say, y'all. So we'll just come back to it whenever I remember it at some point. But I wanted to ask you about the raccoons, okay? Because I've heard you talk about this before. I hate to bring up animal mutilations and stuff, but I know you've recently done some investigations, and I was listening to your story the other day about like some raccoons, and hearing some. You were watching them, and then I think you heard one get silenced.
Oh,
I guess you could say. Can you tell the audience about that? Because that's a fascinating story.
That was actually the first encounter I ever had. We was up in my buddy's loft because he had a wild hog that was coming in and digging his yard up, rooting around in it. So we decided we'd get up in the loft of his little cabin, and we got up there and was waiting on the hog to come out. And it gets dark, and 3 raccoons come out, and they come out and move, feed around and stuff, and then all of a sudden they just run back into the bushes, and it's a little swampy area right there. The property is on the Y. There's 2 creeks come down each side, and the cabin's in between them. And it run back into the laurel thicket, and something grabbed one of them, and it started squalling. And I don't know if you viewers know what it sounds like when a coon's fighting for its life, but it makes a terrible racket. I'll just put it like that. And then after about 3 or 4 seconds, you just heard a big whoa, and everything went dead quiet. And I looked at my buddy and I said, "Buddy boy, I don't know what that is, but that wasn't a bear. It didn't make a bear sound. It didn't roar. Black bears that we have, they huff. They don't roar." And I said, whatever that was attacked a full-grown coon and killed it in just a couple of seconds. They'll fight dogs for 4 or 5 minutes, 4, 5, 6 dogs, and not die. And so we're sitting there, and it starts whistling. And I look at him and I said, "No, I honestly do not know what that is, because number one, whatever it was roared. It roared. Number 2, it killed that coon in just a few seconds, and now it's whistling, and it would whistle about every 3 to 5 seconds." And I said, "I don't know what it is." And so we sat there and listened to it for a couple of minutes, and he said, "Well, the hog ain't coming out, so we might as well go." And we turned the light on to get back downstairs, and when we do, the whistling stops. But the whole time that we were sitting up there with the lights off, it was outside whistling. and that was my first encounter with a Bigfoot.
Oh my God. That it kind of reminded me a little bit about how you hear about people's dogs, and they'll be out there. You hear dogs barking, and it either belongs to the people or just dogs in the distance barking. And then all of a sudden you hear a crack, and then the dogs go silent. Usually, a lot of times these Bigfoots will take a dog and sling it against a tree, and that's what happened. That's why I would not take my dog Bigfooting ever. I used to take my German Shepherd out in the woods with me when I'd go hiking and stuff, but never on a Bigfoot field like research weekend. I would never do that because they don't like dogs. They're giving their locations away when the dogs bark at them.
Yeah. Actually, Miss Rachel, that's on our group, that's how I got introduced to her. She had a dog, or two dogs that was out. She was hiking and they got loose, and they actually had a horse lead on them so she could keep up with them. And somehow they got away from her, horse lead and everything. She tried to run them down and couldn't catch them. She stayed in there for 3 days. And she said that the Bigfoots, and at first she didn't know what it was, but they would come around her camp at night and bark like her dog. And she would go one direction and look, and then it would do it in the other direction. She'd go over there and it'd do it over here. And after the second night, going into the third day, her dad brought her some more food and a pistol. And the next day, her dogs show up, all of their collars and harnesses and everything's took off of them. And they had actually been fed because they wouldn't eat. They wasn't very bit hungry. And, but I've also heard, like you, about them being slapped up against trees, especially. It seems like the more louder dogs that like to do all the barking and all of that stuff seems to be the ones that gets on their nerve.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah. I was just thinking, I had a friend of mine sent me a video, and it's not mine to release the public or anything. It's very disturbing actually. And it was of some hunting dogs. And unfortunately, so there were like 3 hunting dogs, and they look just like, I have a stray that showed up at the house. He's a hunting dog. He's like a pointer. And he's my dog now. I actually bought him a tag I put his name and my address on it today. So he's mine. Okay. He's mine. We couldn't find his owner. Nobody claimed him. We went everywhere looking for him. We tried to find his owners. He had no owners. Okay. Now I'm the captain now. Okay. But but anyways, his name's Buddy, by the way. So Buddy, this dogs look like Buddy. And they had the collars with the trackers on them and stuff. Like they were out on a hunt. And this man had gone, this is just a summary of the video. I'm just going to tell you the video. And so the dogs have been gone for about, I think he said 15 minutes. The dogs had been gone, and he thought they were like hunting, but they didn't come back. Like he couldn't find them. And he tracked them down, and one of the dogs was dead, and they'd only been gone for about 15 minutes. And the 2 other dogs were like traumatized. They were standing by this dog, kind of like, I don't know if they were like protecting it or just in shock, but this dog had a big old bite taken out of its belly, and it was dead. Yeah. And I think it possibly could have been a big hog, maybe. I don't know, but it was just weird. It's just really weird. It wasn't thrown against a tree or anything. And I'm only saying this because I was thinking about how the Bigfoots will take a dog and slam it. And it's very disturbing. I'm so sorry, y'all. But it had a huge bite taken out of the entire, like its rib cage all the way down to like its lower section, if you know what I mean. And I don't know. It just looked like something that could have been, I don't want to say like paranormal, because it could have been a huge hog. Do y'all have gigantic hogs up in North Carolina?
We do. I've killed them up to about 350 pounds. But the thing about it is, more than likely, that hog would have run first, and instead of it would have backed up, and there'd have been a fight. He would have heard them. He would have heard the dogs fighting it, more than likely, because just knowing what I do about hogs and stuff, that's how they do. They will back up with their hind end against a bank somewhere and dare the dogs to come into them, especially here in the mountains. And with it being bit like that, I would say I'm wondering if it might have actually been a dog man or
Well, that's
something.
that's kind of a weird thing. And Jeff Milkman Yerington, what's up, Jeff? He says, I've seen the video. It's a big bite radius. It is huge. It is huge. I think I have a screenshot. I'll send you after the show, maybe, if you want to see it. It's really sad, but it's also, I've looked at that pretty intently. Like I've looked at it a lot, and I can see like maybe the dog was like really skinny and took like a little bite, but no, I think it took like a gigantic bite out of this dog. And it's like jaws, like it's like a shark bite. That's what it looks like.
One of my buddies that I've been friends with for years, he has champion bear dogs, and we're talking 15
bear dogs.
$15,000-$20,000 dogs. And there's one certain area, and it happens to be one of my research areas. Anytime they run something right there, they'll run it to a certain spot, and then they'll come back and go under the truck and won't come out. He'll have to pick them up and put them in the truck. And it just happens to be the ridge that divides my buddy's property that passed away where the raccoon incident happened and ganglands. And he said that they was in there one night and his dogs come back and they loaded them up, and he heard something and said he could see red eyes walking the ridge top. So it's a wonder, that his dogs ain't been killed. But then you hear like Jerry Millwood that's on our team. His little dog was gone for 19 days. It was blind. It didn't have a tooth in its head, could hardly walk. It was about dead. And he don't know how in the world it got out of the house, but it was gone for 19 days. And he had give up on it. And for some reason, I think he said his neighbor or whatever went back down there, and in the middle of the creek, he had been searching for every day forever. On a sandbar was that little blind dog just sitting right in the middle of it. And he'd been down in there for about the first 2.5 weeks, and it never could find it. And then when he did find it, it smelled to high heaven. He said it stunk just like a Bigfoot.
And it smelled like BO.
Yeah. When he took it back down there after he got it and everything, he said that it had actually gained about 3 or 4 ounces, being gone 19 days. And when he took it back down there, one of the Bigfoots evidently saw him coming or whatever, and saw the dog and made some kind of sound. And I can't remember if it was a yell or a grunt or what it was, but Jerry said just as soon as he did, that little dog got excited, like it was hearing its buddy hollering for it or something. So I think it depends on the situation with the dogs, whether the dogs are acting territorial or
or not a threat.
Yeah.
Yeah. That poor little dog was not a threat. I can't remember his dog's name. Do you remember his dog's name?
Scooch.
Scooch.
SKOOT, I think. Scoot.
Jerry's been on the show. Jerry, that was just heart-wrenching. And Scoot has since passed away, I believe. Yeah. But he was that's a sweet little dog, and that dog, there's no way it would have survived by itself in the wild, blind, no teeth. Okay. And came back smelling like, he said he gained weight. So it had been fed.
Yeah.
It had been fed by something. I don't know. I mean, there are children out of North Carolina where you live. Okay. Yeah. There have been children who have been lost in the woods and came back telling their parents and whoever found them that they were taken care of by a bear. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
I think it's Bigfoots, because just what I know from hunting and stuff, 9 times out of 10, a bear's going to run if it sees or hears or smells a person. Even if it's a kid, that bear don't know whether it's an adult or what. And to me, the like the one little boy was found in the middle of a briar thicket that they had done and looked, but he wasn't scratched up. He was just sat down in there after they'd done looked at that spot a couple of days before. And to me, it makes more sense of a Bigfoot doing it than it does of a bear doing it.
I think a bear would have eaten those kids up. There's no way it would have survived. And by the way, I failed to say hello to my friend Don Tart. Don, I think you may have met Don at one of these conferences, but Don is a good friend of mine who's on my teams. And this is a comment that says, "Hello, D Tart Designs." Okay, thank you, C Duke. But Don left a comment earlier, and I forgot to shout you out, Don. And but he just sent us a picture today. We're on, we got some group chats going on and stuff. And he had a picture of, look, a coyote or a wolf. I think it was a coyote on his property. Some kind of big old dog though, up there. He lives like right at where South Carolina and North Carolina, Georgia all meet right there. Yeah. And he's had a pale crawler or something on his cameras too. He's had a lot of weird stuff on his videos around his house. I
was just going to say he must be pretty close to me because that's where I'm at.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know. I never give our locations away here and our exact addresses because I don't know them anyways. But he's had he had what looks like a pill crawler, or even those like Fresno night crawlers, if you know what those are. Something like that on his property. And Tim, y'all had this incident. I'm not saying you had it, but in North Carolina, there was this thing that happened this past year of a man that called 911. And he said he saw a Civil War, Revolutionary War soldier with blood on his head on the side of the road. And he called 911, and a pale crawler jumped in his truck. Are you familiar with that? What is going on with that?
I think it's exactly like he was talking about. I mean, if you listen to that call, that man was freaked out. Well, if you're in the front of the truck, and why would you be freaked out? But when that thing jumped into the back of his truck, it freaked him out big time.
You could hear it.
I don't know where that feller's from, but I'm from Macon County, which don't matter. Anybody wants to come see me, come on. I like company. But
I want to come out there. I need to come out there and go hunting with y'all.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
But with him being right there, it has to be close to where I'm at, because that's the only part that I know of where all three states meet.
Oh yeah.
Would be up in the Highlands and Blue Ridge and places like that.
Well, okay, so I mentioned the Revolutionary War soldier. He thought it was Civil War, but I think it's a Revolutionary War battlefield. And that's something that we have a lot of around the South are Civil War battlefields and Revolutionary War battlefields as well. But what do you think happens around places like that? Because we're getting a lot of reports of like Dogman and Bigfoots around places like Chickamauga battlefield up near Chattanooga, Tennessee, and other like Kennesaw battlefield in Georgia and Pickett's Mill. I've had my own experiences out there that were paranormal. What is your opinion on that? Like, what do you think that there's maybe the blood, maybe they're on ley lines? Like, do you have any kind of thoughts on that? Is like why there's so much paranormal activity and cryptid activity at battlefields?
The paranormal, I can understand. The cryptid, that sort of throws me for a loop, because you would think they would be wanting to stay hid and stuff like that, instead out where people's walking and looking at the battlefields and all. I know exactly where he's at.
That's Don. He's at Westminster, Wallet. I wasn't going to disclose it, Don, because I didn't even know. Anyways,
that's where we do the South Carolina Bigfoot Festival is in Westminster. And I've been doing that with them ever since their very first one. But I think that the cryptid part of it sort of throws me for a loop. The paranormal part don't. And I know everybody's got their opinion, and I'm probably wrong. But my opinion is, if you read the Bible, when Jesus cast the demons out of the man in the tombs, they wanted to go into the hogs. And the Bible says you'll serve one master or the other. So if people are dying with that bad spirit in them, is that bad spirit hanging around? Where does it go? Because to me, the body and soul go on to their eternal reward, whatever that may be. But if they've got that spirit in them, then where does that spirit go? Is it left to walk the earth? Or I know they're real. I can't say exactly what they are. That's just my take on it. But I do know that they're real, and it does happen. The EVPs we've been getting, and like I said, I'm new to all of this stuff, but when me and Rachel goes, they'll talk to her, and 9 times out of 10 won't say nothing to me. We're running the same app and everything side by side, but they'll talk through her phone and won't talk to me. And it's like, well, that's the reason I'm the redheaded stepchild.
Well, you can be standing right next to somebody and they have a paranormal experience and you don't experience anything. And it's all about that. To me, I believe it's all about the vibrational frequency that we are all on. And when I say that we all have our own realities that we live in, I mean it. Like we really do. Like, I've had an incident where my son and I were seeing orbs in our house, and my son's father could not see them with his eyes. He could see them through the camera on his phone screen, and where he was recording them. So we have a recording of this, but he couldn't see them at all with his eyes. His bucky naked eyes, he couldn't see them like that, but he could see them through the screen on his phone. So it's kind of weird how that works. Like we're just all on different frequencies, I think. So.
And people's asked me about the mind speak with Bigfoot and all that stuff. And that's exactly what I tell them, that evidently I'm on the wrong channel. They're on FM and I'm on AM somewhere. But it's one of those things, if it ever happens, I'd like for it to happen. Bigfoot talk to me, that to me, that'd be cool. But I can't say a whole lot about it because I've never had it to happen. It's sort of like the eyes. I always, with the eyes glowing on their own, and I was like, yeah, okay, I believe it when I see it. And then when I seen it, I believed it. And but I don't doubt that it happens. It's just that it ain't happened to me yet.
Well, something that I would love for you to talk to us, to the audience, tell the audience about, is that we were talking about before we went live tonight. We're talking about your experience at, I think it was the LBL, and that blob that came out, and was that where you had the SLS camera out? Or am I mixing up stories?
Yeah, the SLS was a little bit after that.
Okay,
we was
let's hear about it.
At the land between the lakes, and we was at a graveyard that was near where the family was supposed to have got massacred. We stopped and parked at the gate that goes into where they was at, that they've got closed off now. And this is the first night we picked up Adam Davies and went in and met everybody, and they said, you ready to hit the woods? And we said, let's go. So we was going to that graveyard because they had caught a lot of orb action there. So when we get there, they say, we're going dark, no lights other than your thermals and that kind of stuff. So when we get there, we all get out, and I get my thermal and get it running. And we'd been there probably 10 or 15 minutes. And I look behind the truck, and there's a black blob about the size of a medicine ball that didn't have no shape to it. It was just moving. You couldn't say it was a pig. You couldn't say it because it didn't have no shape to it. It wasn't perfectly round or nothing. And I'm standing there watching it through my thermals, and it moves from the left side of the road, comes out in the middle of the road, and stops dead still for a few minutes. And I hollered at the Greg Ogles and some of those guys to come and look. And it moved from the center of the road over to the right-hand side of the road, and you could see it moving through the woods. And so I'm pretty sure Greg got that on his camera. That will be on the film when he releases it. But everybody goes back to doing their stuff. and I'm standing there and I feel something that feels like something pulled on the back of my coat. And I'm like, man, you're excited tonight. You're at the LBL and you think something pulled on the back of your coat and your mind's already playing tricks on you and all of that stuff. And I had no more got that thought out of my head that it pulled on me hard enough to take me off balance. And when I stepped back and I looked at my buddy, and about the time I told him that something had pulled me, he started talking, telling me that he had heard something, if I ain't mistaken, it was a woman in his ear saying, she said it soft first, said, hey. And then it was a little louder, hey. And then the last time he said it was loud, hey. And then right after that is when I felt the tug on my jacket. So I don't know what it would have been. Greg actually come up with a good question. He said, are you sure it was a ghost or something? I don't know what it was. Could it have been a cloaked Bigfoot? It could have been, because we're standing there in the dark. I mean, they could have run over top of us. We wouldn't have seen it. But whatever it was, I was excited because that was my first paranormal out, and then I had something to happen. So we go back a couple of days after that, and I think I mentioned earlier about hearing the disembodied voices and all of that stuff. But we was standing there after we'd done all of that. We'd come back up to the graveyard and thought we'd just walk around and check the old graves out and all of that stuff. And me and Robert Epler walking pretty close to each other. And he looks up and he said, young'uns, something's going on. I feel like I got vertigo coming on. So I asked him, I said, you need me to help you out? And he said, yeah. So I go over to him and we go back to the truck. He starts drinking him some water, and in a few minutes it leaves. And we're standing there, and he gets out his SLS camera, and we didn't know it at the time, but where he started feeling that, there's a figure standing there, and it's honestly looks like it's pitching a fit. It's just jumping up and down and all of that stuff, not standing still or nothing like it. It's up, jumping up and down, waving its arms like this and pitching a fit. And so I walk over there and to get a reference how much bigger it was than me, and it's a little taller than I am. And I looked down and I noticed the grave was an old Civil War grave, and it had been one of the men that was in the color guard, which would have made him a colored feller. And I forget his name, but we're standing there looking at it, and Robert don't come back into the graveyard. He stays over where he was at. And the other guys come down to me, and we're looking at it, and Jerry and George are both military. And the first thing Jerry noticed was that where his unit information was, looked like somebody had taken the angle grinder and ground it all off. And the only thing that we could figure was that that's the reason it was pitching a fit, and it got Robert's attention. So to draw attention to its grave being desecrated. I mean, that's the only thing we could figure.
Whoa. So somebody had taken a grinder, like sanded it down where some of his information on his gravestone was, like his unit and stuff. That's wild. That is wild. Mm-hmm. And I had an incident. I got to tell you about my SLS. I think that's what it's called, right? SLS camera. Uh-huh. We had a really interesting incident that happened up in North Tennessee, in a place called Whitleyville. And we got called out to a Skinwalker cave. Ooh. And it was an investigation. A couple had bought a house right there up there in Whitleyville, Farrah and her husband, and they didn't realize there was a cave entrance like not even 30 feet from their back door. And they had all sorts of terrible paranormal activity going on. And I mean, it turns out when they did some research on their property, it was Choctaw land. And a shaman had gone, a medicine man had gone and banished multiple S-walkers into that cave. And I guess like energetically sealed them in.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to, I wouldn't want to live there. I'm just saying.
And, that skin.
It was bad. It was bad energy, man. And so we were doing some of the guys that were with us had gone in, or I kind of stood, I kept guard, like I kept watching the front of the cave because I didn't want to go way back in there. But anyways, long story short, we were sitting around, we had a campfire out right beside where the main entrance, there's a bunch of entrances to that cave, but the main entrance, the big one, we kind of set up shop right there. We had a campfire and all of our camping chairs right there. And we had set up a camera. And I tell you, Tim, as soon as we went down inside the cave, it was like walking into a portal.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, it was like walking into a portal. And the family, their chickens kept going missing, and like something was taking their chickens out of their coop, and the feathers were like going into the cave. But like when we got there, we found out there was a footprint, a Bigfoot footprint by the chicken coop. It looked like a Bigfoot footprint. But we went, it was like it was going into that cave. When we got to the cave, there were no footprints. It was all mud. Like there should have been tracks going into that cave. Mm-hmm. So whatever was going in there was either going through it's going to sound crazy, either going through a portal or it was scaling the walls when it got in there, which is it's creepy, just as creepy. Okay. And so it's kind of weird, but we had set up, I had a REM pod. You know what a REM pod is? It's like a little device that has an antenna on it. If anything gets close to this REM pod, the alarm goes off and the lights light up on it. And so we put the REM pod out there. We had, Farrah had a SLS camera, and we're just kind of hanging out, and all of a sudden that REM pod goes off. And Farrah has her SLS camera on it, and you can see, we have a video of it. This gigantic figure comes crawling out of the cave, one of the sides of the cave. And with it are two little stick figures, little, like tiny ones with this, it was a literal giant.
Yeah.
And the two little ones started dancing around the REM pod. One of them jumped on the antenna and was spinning around on it. It was weird. And it actually, the big one, the giant actually looked like it had horns on its head. Like it had like horns. It was crazy. Because it was supposed to be just a stick figure, but this one looked like it had bull horns on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was like my only really crazy SLS experience we ever had, was that one.
We done, the other day when we done the last conference up at Western Carolina, we left there, and Miss Rachel's mom lives not far from there. And we go over there and we're looking around, and me and her's there's been stuff going on the farm. Last year they lost 15 goats, just disappeared. The old house that's falling down was built way back in the 1800s. And when we put our cameras on the inside, we'll go back to check them. You'll see us setting it up, leaving. But then when we go in to check them, the card will be mashed to where it's ejected out of it, to where that it can't record. And
really?
Yeah, seriously. And I've got a real weird one where something takes over I'm putting my audio recorder out on top of one of the old fuse boxes, because there's a lot of copper wire running there, and Rachel had got some voices off of that. So I put my thing up there, and something takes over my camera at my phone. And I mean, it sounds demonic. You can actually hear something laughing, going like that.
Oh.
And but we all over there, me and Rachel and Jerry and Jerry's buddy Todd that come with him, and George and Robert and Robert's daddy-in-law are all over there. And we start going out, and I go up to check one of my cameras, me and George does. And I go up and I see that nothing really happened to it that much. So I decided to leave it. So I'll close it back up. And me and George starts walking over. Well, I've got my hearing aids in, and I hear Roberts ask Rachel's mama, said, "Did somebody die right here?" And she said, "Well, not that I know of." And Jerry said, "I feel," bent down and looking at something. He said, "I feel like somebody's stabbing me in my side." And he stands up and is trying to get his breath and everything. Well, man, George walks up, and George just zones out. And he said, "Somebody died right over there, and I'm seeing it happen." And he said it was a native, because this was all native land. There was a native fighting what he described as a raven mocker, an Indian wig. And
Yes.
That raven mocker actually, he said he could see the blade. It was a 5-inch long obsidian blade that it killed the native with. And there's a spot right there where nothing will grow. And George is tasting the blood in his mouth where it got stabbed in the ribs and into his lungs, and was breathing in all that blood and everything. For over 45 minutes after he left, he could still taste the blood in his mouth. And I've known George for a while, and I've never seen him get freaked out like that. But he said, I could see everything that was happening. I could see them fighting. I could see everything. And so that's, that's some of that. How do you tell somebody, no, you didn't see that? You're just seeing that. When they're standing there describing to you exactly how it happened and what happened and who it happened to and all of that stuff. It's sort of the same thing with Bigfoot. How do you tell people that no, you ain't seen this or that or the other,
Oh my gosh. That's wild. I mean, George was picking up on, that he's an empath, obviously. Mm-hmm. He is. And that is wild. I've never heard that story. I love that story. It's very intriguing.
If you want me to, I'll send you, and you're more than welcome to use it any way you want to, but I'll send you that video of that thing taking over my phone.
I would love that. It sounds a little scary, but I am a researcher. I like to see scary stuff.
I sent it to my buddy Bob Trent with Sasquatch Recon, because him and Dwight are the technical gurus. They're the MacGyvers of the bunch, and they're actually the ones that make the audio recorders we use. But he ran it through everything that he's got, and said if you speed it up to more than 4 times, it just goes away. You can't get nothing. But he said it sounds like an old language, and I asked it because first thing I'm thinking of was the laughing and all of that, and it's real deep. And I said, was it Latin? And he said, it may be. He said it's some old language like that. But I didn't even know it was there, and I put it up on TikTok. And this woman said, "What's that? What happened to your video?" And I said, "Nothing, I don't reckon." And I went back and watched it, and I thought, well, what did happen to my, there's like, is that real? And I didn't even know it was there. And so,
oh my gosh,
that's one thing I'm liking about this paranormal. They play more than the Bigfoots do.
Yeah, they do. They do. And speaking of which, thank you, Barton, for reminding me of that. I'd forgotten. Mark told me all about that. And I don't even know he ever spoke about this on my show. And Mark told us a lot of stuff. Okay. But this is interesting. Mark Maychak, who's Cryptidville, everybody knows in my chat knows at Cryptidville. He saw 2 little people one night playing with what looked like a game of leapfrog beneath the light pole. They were wearing porcupine skins. Now that's how they describe, what are those things called? Puckwudgies, right? Puckwudgies. Yeah. And that's, Mark lived right behind the LBL. He was literally 10 minutes from the land between the lakes. And there's so much weird stuff out there. We've been talking about that tonight, and Barton knows better than anybody. Barton's from up there too. But yeah, little people. I also wanted to ask you real quick too about, you said something about language, and I believe I remember you saying something about you hearing Bigfoot speaking and hearing their language. Now, was it like samurai chatter? Please tell me about what you experienced.
Okay. This was back before we really knew that the Bigfoots was on my buddy's property. We're in our deer hunt, and I'd killed a deer in there the week before. And we noticed every time we kill something, the Bigfoots will come in and carry the gut pile off. There won't be a hair left. There won't be a leaf with a drop of blood on it. It looks like CSI come in and cleaned it up. It honestly does. And we're up there, and I'm sitting there, and it gets that time of day for the deer and stuff to start moving, and I hear somebody talking. And I text my buddy, and I said, somebody's on your land, and we're behind the locked Forest Service gate, so there should be nobody in there. He said, well, sit still, because they'll have to turn their lights on to get out. And he said, what are they saying? I said, well, I can't understand it. It's a language. I said, to be honest with you, to me, it sounds like Native American with monkey gibberish thrown in on it. And he said, well, sit still. So that was on Tuesday evening. And I listened to them till it got completely dark. And when it got completely dark, they hushed. But I probably listened to them for 15, 20 minutes, just back and forth. And I know they have to be close to me, because with my hearing bad, I wouldn't have been able to hear them. I can't wear my hearing aids when I'm hunting because of the blast from the gun. So I knew they had to be close for me to even hear their pronunciation, or whatever you want to call it. That was on Tuesday, and on Thursday of the same week, same thing happens. And same time, same amount, and we stay in there way after dark and nothing. And later on, we just figured out that it was the Bigfoots. The one that I can in my brain, I can still hear the Tuesday night one when it started, because it was a huh, and then huh, hey, oh, like that, and then you might hear whoopee, or some high pitch something thrown in with it. And that's when I actually decided after hearing that if they're smart enough to carry on a conversation with each other, I don't need to kill one to prove that they're real. Because up before then, I was going to. I told my buddy, I said, I'll stay in here day and night if I have to, and we'll put one on the table, and that'll end the discussion. But after that, I was like, I don't care if they ever admit it or not. I'm not going to kill something that's sitting there talking to its buddy or wife or girlfriend, whatever it was. I'm not going to try to kill something like that just to prove they're real. To me, it would, one deer and hogs and bears, one thing, but when you've got something that's actually sitting, talking and communicating like humans do, then to me, it don't need to be killed just to prove that they're real. I'd rather for people not to believe me and know that the Bigfoots are okay than I had for them to say, well, we've killed one, so now we believe you.
Yeah. Everybody's always wanting that body to prove something. Not everybody. Look, us researchers and people who are in the woods a lot, like we don't want any harm to come to these things.
No.
And because they are like humans. And I've been told that when people who have we say unalived on YouTube, Tim.
Mm.
Okay. So people who have unalived them, they say that they actually end up that they're it's like of a human. It's like they've committed homicide on a human, basically.
Yeah.
And there's someone that I have just recently met who's actually really cool. And he's kind of inadvertently a leader in the disclosure movement. I don't think he realizes that he is so much, but this guy, his name is Big Homie CC. Okay. And he's a former, like, I think he still is, but he was a former bodyguard for a bunch of famous like rappers and stuff. And he's all over the internet. Look up Big Homie CC, y'all. Maybe we'll have him on the channel one day. Just saying. But I think it's in the works. But Big Homie, he caught my attention when he told me what he didn't tell me. he told the world that he had, he ran with these elite circles kind of because he was the head bodyguard for some very famous people and stuff. And he said that he went to this one gentleman's house and rich dude. He said he got in this house and he showed him, he was like a hunter or something. I don't know. Just rich people, when they get, if I was rich, I'd probably have some weird stuff too. But this guy had a taxiderm Bigfoot in his house. And Big Homie CC was talking about that. And he was, and that caught my attention. Okay. And so I never in a million years thought that guy was going to hit me up. Like, hey, so who is this again? But yeah, it's, it comes to the question, like, was this like a taxiderm, almost like a human, like a big hairy human? I know they're not the same as like a complete human, right? But it's just, there's a lot of questions here. I have a lot of questions, and it's almost a morality thing as well. But now we're here about elites eating people. Okay. A bunch of cannibals running our government and our world right now. So it's not that far fetched, right, Tim?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And the first one that I saw, and when it walked out, it was less than 20 feet from me. And the first thing I noticed was his head. And honest to goodness, it looked exactly like the one on the Patterson-Gimlin film. And then when it took 5 steps and I'm looking at it and it turns and looks at me, and then it drops down to all fours and takes off. And my brain, because I'm in there deer hunting, and I hadn't seen one. I had encounters on my buddy's property before that, but I'd never seen one. So in my brain, I'm new into this, and I start looking to see if there's more, because it stepped out from a big old tree. And that thing got gone, and I'm like, I can still see, it just like you took a 6-foot Patty and put her in front of me. But that thing was the fastest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Did you say it dropped down on all fours?
It dropped.
What was
down.
that like?
It, to me, it's running like a dog, because its front end was jacked up more than its back end, because the front end, the arms are longer, and it would reach out like this and pull its back feet up and under it, and then push off with its back feet like that. And it covered 100 yards in just a few seconds.
Whoa. That's big.
Yeah.
That's real big. Yeah. It kind of sounds like, I wonder if that's how like a Dogman runs too. I don't know. I've seen some videos of alleged real Dogman running before and stuff. It's pretty trippy. I guess trippy is the word. Yeah.
And what I couldn't understand is, I guess it was trying to make me think, getting me to think that maybe it was a bear or something, trying to make me think I identified it. I'll get this Meltilla spit out here in a minute, but that I had misidentified it. But I got such a good look at it with it being so close. There's no way it could have been anything else.
Oh my gosh. What really kind of creeps me out a little bit are the stories of them spider crawling. And I have yet to see one spider crawl. There's a video that was going around. It looked like it was in some town in like South America or something. I don't know why I'm getting that vibe on the video, but it looks like the only way that I could describe what I was looking at in this video was a Bigfoot spider crawling through town. And I don't know if anybody else has ever seen that video, but it's kind of weird. Spider crawl is just weird.
Yeah.
Would it be a good explanation as to how they keep so quiet though? It's almost like, you know how ninjas don't make noise when they walk on creaky floors and stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of what a spider crawl would be the equivalent to for a Bigfoot, I think.
And I think another thing that helps them a lot is the pads on their foot. I don't know if people realize it or not, but the bottom of their feet from you can look on the Patterson film or stuff like that. It looks like the bottom of their feet are just like the bottom of a bear's paw. You know, it's that same texture and all of that stuff. And a 500-pound bear can walk up on you and you'll never know it's in the woods. And I'm wondering if that, with that pad being so thick and everything, if it don't absorb a lot of the sound and make it easier for it to sneak around.
Yeah, it's absorbing. They're little ballerina ninjas. That's what they are, little ninja ballerina Bigfoots out there.
They beat all I've ever seen. For about the first year and a half, I said, them stupid things this, them stupid things that. And after about the first year and a half, I figured out I was the stupid one of the bunch. Because no matter what I do, they outsmart me. I put cameras 12 feet off the ground, and you can see a big old hairy arm coming up and under it and twisting it around the side of the tree and stuff like that. So I'm about to run out of ideas after 18 years. I'm about out. I don't know what else to try.
Just keep doing what you're doing, Tim, because you're doing something right. And I don't know. This has been a really interesting conversation, really fun show tonight. I knew it was going to be. And I'm not going to keep you here all night because I know on our side of the country, it's getting late, isn't it? It's almost midnight.
Almost midnight.
It's almost midnight. The witching hour. I know. Look who we got in the chat, y'all. It's War Criminal. That is War Criminal was my chauffeur. I can't even say it. A chauffeur. I guess. God, I'm country. Over in the LBL. He's also a good friend of mine. So thank you for being here, Matt. I appreciate you. You're hilarious. Oh, did you just give a super sticker too? I'll be. Dottie, thank you. Yes. These shows just keep getting better and better. I cannot disagree with you on that. I cannot. And they're going to continue to just keep getting better and better every single show, y'all. I promise. And that's hilarious. Let me see. Hold on. I got to scroll down a little bit because I just saw that War Criminal gave a super sticker. Thank you for that. He said, "Hey, Barton Nutley." Burton.
I'd pick it on poor old Barton.
Can I explain? Do I have to explain what this is? Dang it, Matt. Barton was called the wrong name in a documentary, y'all. And I'm going to leave it at that. Okay. He was called the wrong name in a documentary about Dogman. And that's all I'm going to say. And Barton's going to come at you like a spider monkey, Matt. Okay. And yeah. Thank you for that. That's funny. Y'all always know how to make me laugh, and I'm trying to have a serious show here. Okay. And it never works out that way.
You picked the wrong person to be on to have a serious show.
I'm just kidding. Look, we're never that serious. Okay. If we're not laughing, we're crying. And sometimes we're crying laughing. Okay. Yep. Burton Nunley. When they told me that last weekend, I literally did. I was dying laughing. It was really funny. So sorry, Barton. I'm sorry, Barton. That sucks. You got called the wrong name. I get called the wrong name. I get called Jennifer and God knows what. I've been called way worse. But my sister's name's Jennifer. That's why I got called Jennifer all the time, I think. But Burton Nutley. Yep. Sorry, Barton. Okay. But anyways. Man, Tim, the redheaded stepchild, Dills. What you got coming up? What you got coming up in your future? Are you still going to stay out in the woods? Are you going to do some more investigating? Because you got a great team with you.
I do. Yeah, man, the guys will be with you next weekend. at the Georgia Bigfoot conference, we've got stuff, and I'd have to get my calendar out, but we're booked a lot this year, and last year I didn't get to get out into the woods that much, but this year I'm going to make a difference. I'm still hoping that one of these days they'll feel sorry for me and let me get a good picture of them or something like that. But we've got the stuff going on there. We'll be at the Marion Bigfoot Festival, and we'll be at the Westminster one. We're always there. Them guys have asked us to start with them on the ground floor, and we've been there every year. But we just everywhere this year. I mean, we're going to be at the there goes that part-timers again. But
part-timers.
Yeah.
I mean, you're doing good. You have a good memory, because I can't remember any of the events. I do a lot of events too, and I can never remember. I can't get them all straight. So I just tell everybody, go look at my website.
Yeah. Cumberland Bigfoot Festival. We'll be at the Cumberland Bigfoot Festival this year. And we are talking to, I don't know if we're going to get in or not, but we've talked to them about being at the one in Townsend, Tennessee. And one thing I love about my guys is we're getting ready to go do one for a nursing home that's not far from here. I've spoke over there one time, and the people just absolutely eat it up. So me and the guys are going to go do that, and because before too much longer, I may be there and hoping somebody will come and talk to me. So, but we just got a lot going on.
Yeah, you do. And let me share my screen. You guys have a YouTube channel, and y'all are always doing live shows over on your channel. Tell the audience about that so they can go over there and subscribe to your YouTube channel.
Yeah, if you want to check us out, it's North Carolina Investigates. We do live shows at 7:00 every Tuesday and Thursday. We don't script nothing. Watch us one time and you can tell it ain't scripted. But we may start out talking about shit. Last week we started on serial killers and wound up on fairies, I think it was. So there's Boom Boom. I don't know if you've had Boom Boom on your show, but
I have.
His fairy encounter that still tickles me, because the way she was so cute. If she'd have been, I'd have dated her. He'll say something like that, but there's no telling. But we don't never fake anything. If we go out and we don't see anything, then we're going to tell you we ain't seen a cockeyed thing. But if we do, then we try to bring that and put it on. You can find it on our thing, on our YouTube channel. Or if you want to check out my stuff, which I put it on TikTok, and then Rob pulls it to their YouTube channel, to the NCI YouTube channel. So you can check it out there. But great group of guys, it really is. And the other group that I'm with, Sasquatch Recon, that is the guys who actually started me in doing legitimate research. And I can't brag enough on Bob Trent and Dwight Campbell for all that they've done. They're just absolutely great guys, and the reason I like them is they're just like my NCI buddies. Nothing's faked. If it happened, it happened, and if it didn't, it didn't. We ain't trying to make a living or money off of it or nothing. We're just bringing you what we find, and it's up to you to whether you want to believe it or not. And if you don't, that's all right. I didn't either for 40,000 years, but then that one encounter.
40,000 years. You've been around 40,000. I knew you were a vampire, Tim. I knew it. I'm just kidding. This is the website. I got the website pulled up here, or the YouTube channel, Sasquatch Recon. I had just seen that video of you right there. And so is this what was formerly Dirty South Squatching?
It was.
Yeah.
It's the Dirty South Squatching Group. When
Wonderful.
to be honest, a lot of our stuff we just kept personal and didn't put it out for the public and all of that. And we was like, when you go and talk at these events, everybody will what's your social media stuff and all of this. And I'm on Facebook. I thought that's all the social media was, but they decided, Bob and Dwight decided that they wanted to start putting their stuff out and letting people watch it. So they've got some great stuff. I mean, I'd say that Bob and Dwight have the best thermal videos of a Bigfoot of anybody I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
And it was a place that we investigated up in Saltville, Virginia. And
is it on the YouTube channel?
It is. It
Ooh,
sure
we'll
is.
have to check that out.
Yeah. And this thing comes walking up a ditch line. If I go off in that ditch, it comes up to about my shoulders, and it comes up about that thing's under its armpit. So it was probably pushing 8.5 feet tall.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm going to have to check that out. Y'all look, please go over to Sasquatch Recon, y'all. Go subscribe over there, as well as North Carolina Investigates. And man, you're going to be in Georgia next weekend with us, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
You better be there.
Yeah.
We always have fun.
Now that I know I can get a free hug, I'm going to be
free hug. Well, I don't ever pass up a hug from a redheaded stepchild. That's my favorite kind of hugs right there.
Well, I appreciate it. The first time I met you, I was like,
you're like, I'm not.
You walk up to a good-looking woman and hug her up. She said, I would pull a pistol out and shoot you or something. So
you're like, I'm not going to get in trouble. Okay, I know. You're like, I'm not putting my arm around you. And Rob's like, I'll put my arm around you. Don't worry. Here, come over here and get a picture with me. Y'all are so funny.
The sad thing was he was putting his arm around me.
I know he was. He was. I see how y'all interact. Y'all are crazy. I'm just kidding. Golly, we have fun. We have a lot of fun, y'all. And so, yeah. So, Tim, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here with me tonight and sharing your stories and your encounters with the audience tonight. And yeah, thank you. Please come back and hang out with me again.
Anytime you want. And thank you for having me. Honest to goodness, this you and the guys that I get to see, that's the reason I do it. I love talking and catching up and all of that stuff. And as soon as you ask me, I'm like, yeah, I'm there. It don't matter.
Yeah.
3:00 in the morning, I'm going to be there.
Yes. Well, we ran late tonight too. It's after midnight. And so I wouldn't have it any other way. And we're not complaining, y'all. We are Bigfooters. We stay out late. Okay. Yeah. So this ain't no thing but a chicken wing. Actually, as a matter of fact, I do plan on going Bigfooting next weekend. I don't know. At some point. We're undisclosed locations, of course, but I'm going to try. I got Matthew Delph, the badass monster hunter, coming in town. And so he and I have decided we got a game plan. We're going to go find some Bigfoots, maybe at a cemetery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know, we just talked about cemeteries tonight, and there's some scary stuff going on in them cemeteries. Lots of Bigfoot activity.
I don't know if they've got it on up yet or not, but Dwight was filming Bob Trent and another guy at a cemetery, and they're standing there talking, and a Bigfoot comes up inside the pavilion and is standing there watching the other two talk. And Dwight's just sitting back filming it, having a field day. They don't know it's anywhere around.
Oh my gosh. Well, dang. Gene, don't worry. I will be bait. You don't want me to be bait? That's the best way to be. I'm going to get some shirts made up to say Bigfoot bait on them. I think that'd be a great thing to put in my shop. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you guys can all be Bigfoot bait too. We can all be Bigfoot bait together. And I'll try not to. I don't know, Gene. Thank you for being concerned. I appreciate you. And Robert says, come on up to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I have not been to Michigan yet. I will take you up on that one day, Robert. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I don't know. Yes, I would love I love. There's a lot of dogmen up that way too, and we got to keep our eye out for Ohio as well, and all those Bigfoots that are going being sighted. We'll keep an eye on it. I always keep my ear to the streets for the audience. So, yeah, and we'll keep y'all posted on how the conference goes next week. And Barton Nunley was in the chat tonight, and Barton will be here next Saturday night, I believe, as long as the stars are aligned, we're gonna have Barton and probably Letitia here as well on next Saturday. So. Well, anyways, y'all have a wonderful night. Do you have any final thoughts, Tim, to leave the audience tonight? Any kind of words of advice?
Just enjoy yourself. Go out. I can't say take somebody with you because half the time I'm usually by myself. So, but if you do go out, let people know where you're going, because there's other things out there that you got to worry about: snakes, wild hogs, meth heads.
That's worse than anything right there.
Yeah.
More dangerous. Probably. Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah, that's the truth, though. Thank you so much for that. Gene, thank you for that. Yes, great information. And feral people, Colleen said, too. We got to watch out for them ferals, especially in the Smoky Mountains. But anyways, well, Tim, I will see you next weekend. And before we go, I want to thank everybody who gave super stickers tonight. Kent Baxter, thank you so much. Elise Tanner, thank you so much. Nathan Davis, thank you so much. And War Criminal 7976, thank you. My favorite chauffeur. Is that what I said? Chauffeur. I'm just kidding. War Criminal is he's an old pro, y'all, and very knowledgeable about the LBL as well, and a wonderful researcher. So y'all check him out, especially on TikTok. Go over to TikTok and give War Criminal a follow, y'all. He's got some wonderful paranormal and cryptid investigations he does. And yeah, thanks to Barton for being here as well. And thanks to my teammates for being here. Thanks to my moderators. Thank you to everybody. Y'all are the best. I will see you guys back here on Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern. And we've got some shows lined up for next week that'll blow your mind. And everybody have a wonderful night. Please stay safe out there. And Tim, I will see you next weekend. All right, y'all. Y'all have a great night, and we'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.